Hello, everyone. In his early 50s, he continued his pursuit of prizes and titles in bodybuilding. His list includes 7 wins in professional tournaments. Imagining the biggest tournaments without Toney Freeman was like seeing snow in June. From 2006 to 2013, he did not miss a single Olympia, and in those where he performed, he was in the top 10 6 times. Not bad at all for a veteran, is it? But it's not just about winning prizes. The secret to Freeman's popularity was that not only the judges liked his build, but also the audience. With a height of 188 centimeters and a weight of 128 kilos on stage, Toney did not look like a shapeless pile of muscles. With a waist of 80 centimeters and a bicep girth of 57, he became one of the most well-proportioned and aesthetically pleasing bodybuilders of our time. That's why they called him X-Man. His figure really resembled the letter X. The top has unrealistic shoulder width, the bottom has no less impressive hips, and the middle has a surprisingly thin waist. But don't think that Freeman was born that way. Perseverance, and discipline, these are the components of his success, the path to which was very long and much longer than that of many others. Toney Freeman was born on August 30th, 1966, in South Bend, Indiana, the son of a preacher. He was the eldest child in the family. Freeman has 2 brothers and a sister. In 1983, the family moved to Atlanta, where Toney lives to this day. This city cannot be called the bodybuilding mecca of America. However, we know 2 facts. It was here that the Olympia were held from 1993 to 1995, and it is here that the 8-time winner of this title, the great Lee Haney, lived and still lives. Of course, Freeman was involved in sports, basketball, and football. Football made him start swinging to gain weight. But a woman played a key role in the choice of bodybuilding. That's how Freeman himself remembers it. "Toney, you have to become the same, otherwise this guy will steal your girlfriend." So he went to the gym. During the first year and a half of classes, he increased by 16 kilos and even competed quite successfully, although he practiced without much fanaticism. Freeman became ill with bodybuilding later when he saw Kevin Levrone at the 1991 U.S. Championships. He began to train hard, and in a matter of months, his weight increased from 91 to 115 kilograms. It was a real breakthrough. As a result, in 1993, Toney won the U.S. Junior Championship and finished 6th in the adult tournament. A year later, he is already the 4th. It seemed like the guy's prospects were the brightest. He had to try a little more and keep the card in his pocket. However, all hopes were dashed by a chest injury. "Dorian Yates and I trained our breasts together once," Toney recalls. "We did one of his training sessions. I'll be damned if it wasn't this training that got me injured. It was a fantastic workout, one of the best I've ever done for my breasts. But she wasn't for me. Either she was too good, or my body simply wasn't ready for such a shock. I fell into a trap following a path laid by others. After that, I realized that I had to listen to my body and started doing what was right for me and not someone else. What's good for someone else won't necessarily work for you. Therefore, if you want to become successful, then look for your own way." Despite his injury, Freeman took part in the U.S. Championships and even managed to take 4th place. But as it seemed to him then, it was the end. After all, his trump card has always been magnificent proportions and symmetry. And what are the proportions with a torn breast? Of course, Toney started going to the doctors, but none of them could promise that the breast would return to its former appearance after the operation. Then he completely gave up on training, and for 3 years he never set foot in the gym. As a result, the weight dropped to 105 kilograms, and then a miracle and a happy accident happened. In 2000, the guy I trained with and who was also my home doctor suggested that I see a surgeon who had previously been involved in plastic surgery, Toney recalled. I remember saying it in my heart, "Fuck you and your surgeon. They haven't been able to sew on my chest for 5 years and it's not clear who's going to help." However, I agreed to meet them halfway, probably out of desperation. The new doctor immediately impressed Freeman by naming the exact date of the injury. The operation was successful, and Toney began to think about returning to big bodybuilding. In about 6 months, he regained his former condition and then began to prepare for the U.S. Championships. There were no special illusions, and therefore the preparation took place without high hopes. Freeman didn't try very hard, and suddenly the 8th place. What if you spend a whole year preparing for shock? Said and done. However, this time Toney, who had been unsuccessfully trying to become the champion of the States for 9 years, did not really hope to win, but he intuitively chose the right tactic. He did not compete with his future rivals in size, but relied on super relief, and it worked. My only chance was to compete at my peak, Freeman confessed. I guess I was planning to be a little heavier than 113 kilograms, but in the end it turned out that I was at 113 at the weigh-in and on stage. I managed to win both the super heavyweight category and the absolute championship. David Palumbo and Matthew Duval are great guys. Well, what could they do against my 76-centimeter waist? But competing among amateurs and among pros are two big differences. Proportions and quality alone are not enough for success in professional tournaments. We need a lot, or rather a megamass. And the tall Freeman looked skinny against his rivals when he weighed 113 kilograms, when he grew to 118, and even when his weight exceeded 123 kilos. It got to the point where I was ranked 9th at the 2006 Arnold Classic, and was again told that I was too small, even though I was much heavier than any of the other competitors at 131 kilograms, Freeman said ironically. Fortunately, the situation changed at the 2006 Super Show of Europe, maybe because Freeman performed continuously and was somehow remembered, or maybe because the participants were not such masters and the judges had to take a closer look at Freeman. And then it turned out that he has a win-win combination, dimensions plus proportions. Freeman was the most massive on stage and at the same time the most well-proportioned. What else do you need to win? Freeman made a splash at the 2006 Olympia when he exhibited a unique combination of cool proportions, volume, and muscle density. Freeman finished 7th at the very first Olympia. It was very cool. Behind them were such stars as Marcus Rule, Dennis James, and even the legendary Vince Taylor. In the spring of 2007, Freeman continues his victory march. He brilliantly won the prestigious Ironman Pro Tournament, and soon beat the same guys at a competition in Sacramento, and he rounded out the top 3 winners at the Arnold Classic Super Tournament, the one where Phil Hitt was content with only 5th place. No one called Freeman skinny anymore. The secret to breaking through to a new weight was that Toney had a new coach. Before I started preparing for the Arnold Classic 2006, I met Anthony Aponte, Freeman recalled. He is the greatest coach in the world. I trained under his guidance in Seattle for 12 weeks and the results were amazing. I even thought about buying a house there and starting to live in 2 cities. Aponte changed my diet. I started eating 10 meals a day, consuming 500 and even 600 grams of protein per day, and grew by leaps and bounds. Anthony cooked my meals, did my laundry, and went shopping. If he were a woman, I would definitely marry him. In my opinion, the Freeman's form from the 2006 Olympia or the 2007 Ironman was his peak, if we talk about the perfect combination of size and relief. Later, if he tried to get bigger, he fell short in quality, and if he relied on dryness, he looked flat. Nevertheless, the judges loved Freeman, who was dry to the bone, more than Big Toney. And in 2008, he gave his best result at the Olympia, 5th place. And in other cases, the cool relief helped him to occupy high places. But how did Freeman, despite his advanced age, manage to exhibit such amazing form year after year? While other guys struggle to lose weight before the competition to get in shape, I gain weight as the competition approaches, Freeman admitted. In the off-season, I'm close to competitive condition because I don't like to overeat like a pig. I like my physique and I want to look beautiful all year round. Besides, it's not a problem for me to lose fat and gain muscle. There are a lot of guys around who gain a lot of weight just so that you can tell them they weigh 135 kilos. In reality, no one else cares. Bodybuilding is a sport where it's important how you look, not how much the scales show. As for training, Freeman was also quite original. The chest injury in the same age taught him to guard against injury. He didn't pull huge weights to shock others. It is much more important to feel the muscles working rather than trying to lift as much as possible, he believed. The number of repetitions in the sets was moderate. For example, for the leg muscles, he usually did 15 reps per set, and the hips were considered his best muscle group. At the beginning of each class, Toney warmed up thoroughly by doing many warm-up sets. Since he trained often, he tried to devote a separate lesson to each muscle group. Freeman's training technique deserves special attention. He loved to train with dumbbells and did it like this. He lifted the weight with only one hand and held the dumbbell in the starting position with the other. This technique dramatically increases the load, involving additional muscles in the work. Freeman is a true professional. It's just a machine that doesn't know fatigue. At the 2008 Olympia, the one where he finished 5th, while all the favorites were relaxing in their rooms on the day of the finals and preparing for the fight, only Freeman and Wolf were working at the expo, taking pictures with fans and signing autographs. They didn't sit down once for 4 hours. On the surface, Freeman can seem harsh and sometimes a little arrogant, but I think it's just part of the image. Freeman has 2 sons, Nick and Antonio. He is very proud of the achievements of the elder Nick, who managed to achieve a good level in athletics. In 14 years of playing professionally, Freeman has managed to participate in 65 tournaments, an impressive result. Toney is still training and is still in great shape, although who would doubt it? As always, I will be grateful for your support. It helps in the development of the channel. Please like, subscribe to the channel. If you are not subscribed, share the video with your friends, and do not forget to click on the bell so as not to miss the new release. Thanks for watching. Sports Guru was with you. See you later.